The Subaru EJ engine is a series of four-stroke automotive engines manufactured by Subaru. They were introduced in 1989 intended to succeed the previous Subaru EA engine.
Whoa.
The EJ series is the mainstay of Subaru's engine line, with all engines of this series being 16-valve horizontal flat fours.
Wait, 16 valves?
Yes.
Whoa.
With configurations available for single or double overhead camshaft arrangements.
Do they have push rods? No.
See, that's where Wikipedia goes wrong. It doesn't say.
Well, it's implied because it's overhead cam. Oh, but is it overhead cam or is it
Overside cam?
overside cam? It's not really an overhead cam. Well, if you roll the car on its side.
Oh, get this one. These engines are commonly used in light aircraft, and that's the first one. Light aircraft, kit cars, and engine swaps into air-cooled Volkswagens, and are also popular with as a swap into the wasserboxer engined Volkswagen T3 van.
Of course, the wasserboxer. You don't know about that? And welcome to another episode of Delusions of Automotive Grandeur. If you're interested, Brent is willing to finance your dream tattoo of a wasserboxer engine directly on your... We would like to begin tonight's show with a shout out to listener Sarah Sarabowitz of Waynesboro. On behalf of all of the staff and employees at DAG Show, we would like to sincerely apologize for Charlie roundhouse kicking your grandmother's 1997 Dodge Neon that was unprofessional and unbefitting of the dignity and seriousness with which we approach each show. Although it was clearly improper to abuse such a fine vehicle, the DAG Show staff is happy to hear that Charlie and your grandmother's first date went a little too well.
Cars. Why do we, as car enthusiasts, love them so much? To most, it's just a hunk of metal that gets them to work or to the grocery store. But to us, it is much, much more than that. They are a living entity and are basically family to us. Yes, they may get us from point A to point B on a daily basis, but they put a smile on our face. Now, my background into cars might be different than yours. Growing up, I remember having the Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars. I would try to keep these as nice as possible, pretending they were all going to a car meet or a car show at the end of the day. I also remember my dad's 57 Chevy Bel Air out in the barn, the car that my mother made my dad sell when I was about 15 years old. The same car my dad saw 3 years later completely redone to where he wanted it to be. The same car that day made him cry. Back when my mom made my dad sell the Bel Air, I truthfully and regrettably was not into cars all that much at the time. Yes, I was interested, but I did not have the time to sit in the garage and learn about them. I was too busy playing sports year-round. Fast forward about 2 years, and that's when the car bug hit. I got my first car, a kick-ass 1999 Chevy Cavalier. It was black, had some sweet stock hubcaps. While sometimes I regret what I had done to the car, I can only look forward to the cars I have had since. I put some sweet silver racing stripes, a set of wheels, and an intake on the car. I figure all of these items would have added about 25 horsepower to the butt dyno. In reality, I probably lost some numbers instead. Now we move to the present, 12 years later, after I was pushed out of the nest just like the robins in my back window. I have since been in 3 different cars, 2 of which I still own. I have traveled up and down the East Coast for car shows and drifting events. I have raced on a few different tracks, full seasons of autocross, and go-kart racing, including shifter karts. Cars have brought me to my closest friends that I now consider family. They have brought long nights in the garage or a driveway trying to get a new modification done. They have brought the fun times and even some rough times as well. But in the end, when I get in my car, every little step has been worth it when I go around a corner.
So now for some consumer advice for you GTI owners. Mark 7 GTI owners. So recently Charlie did an upgrade, which I'll let him describe, but it's one of those things that I was just fascinated with how smooth it went. I mean, you did a lot of prep work, but tell us what you did and your experience with how good the results are.
Yeah.
And tell us about how expensive it was.
Yeah. So I have the front. I purchased the Mark 7 base GTI, the GTI S,
with the plaid seats.
The stock headlights, halogen, and the 312 millimeter brake rotors. Non-performance pack, no differential, etc. Obviously, the unicorn out there is the lighting package and performance package. Performance package being bigger brakes and the differential. So I lucked out and found a deal online. Somebody was trying to move some of their Golf R brakes. So the black variant of the GTI brakes, pretty much identical, only difference being the color. But as we've kind of talked about in the past, I kind of paint things for a living. I say kind of because I'm not a painter.
He's a graffiti artist. I'm kidding.
Yeah, formulator is.
Yeah. Okay.
For those wanting to know.
Yes.
But yeah, so found a set of the calipers and all. Basically worked to get them the right color and get all the designs on there the way I wanted. And I think that was $200. Mm-hmm. And then I just found a cheap pair of the correct sized rotors for
dust shields.
And those ran me, I think all in it was around 150 approximately.
Yeah.
And basically it bolts right up and all the same lines. I only had to crack the lines for the split second to change from the smaller caliper to the bigger caliper and
bled some brakes.
It went a lot better than my last time I bled brakes. Because I did the Volvo one time and had the little the air powered one man bleeder kit and found out the hard way that the master cylinder was already failing, and
no.
And I guess probably was not helped by the use of that device. So
let's see. So what advice would you? First of all, what advice would you have for people who are preparing for this swap?
I think, as with any project, go into it with a plan, and better yet, start with your project sooner rather than later. I think I was working on it. I can't remember if it was a Saturday or Sunday. Mm-hmm. If I had preference, I would say start on a Saturday. Yeah. That way you still have Sunday to work with it too.
Yeah.
But all in all, it wasn't a bad job. Only a few hours. So give yourself plenty of time. Maybe invite a few friends over.
Yeah.
Have them shoot the shit while you...
At least one beer there.
At least one beer at the ready.
So talk to us about the results. You started to do some driving. I know you probably have to bed them a bit.
Yeah.
And they come covered, as I recall, with the gray coating. And so you have to kind of burn that off, which, by the way, I think that shortened our lives inhaling that a little bit because I was with you on the test drive.
It'd be fine.
Which, by the way, just, from my point of view, it felt pretty impressive on the test drive. So how is it? How is it having the bigger? And how big are the new brakes? How many millimeters?
They are 340 by 30.
So that's up from 312.
Right. Okay. The previous was 312 by 25. So
okay, that's a lot more mass.
Yeah. So you got a lot more mass, both in the, the circumference and also the thickness of the pad.
So what's it like?
So far I've not had any issues.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned I had one issue where I did not clip the pad sensor because my car didn't have a pad sensor and it was buzzing around making a little vibration in the car. And that eventually I just climbed under and snipped the wire. But other than that, it's performed perfectly. Plenty of stopping power, and it doesn't feel, there's no weird there's always that concern of changing your bias of your braking.
Yeah.
But this is
it's a factory kit.
It's a factory kit. You're not gonna
there's no recalibration of ABS.
Exactly.
Or anything like that.
And the ABS controller figures out how much braking pressure is needed real quick. So, flawless swap, and like it's one of those things where it's so low key that it's not, unless you really push it, you're not going to notice it.
And there's no track width adjustments. I mean, it's all like
nothing to
there's
adjust,
nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
Like, so tell me, what was your total, like, you don't have to itemize it, but what was
Sure.
your total cost? And then I know you got a deal on the calipers.
Right.
So, and then tell us what the cost would have been if you'd had to buy the calipers new, like all in.
Sure.
So all in with what you actually paid, and all in if you had to buy the calipers new.
Absolutely. So all in, I spent call it under 500.
Okay.
You figure between the painting the brackets and this and that, like little odds and ends, call it under 500.
Okay.
Safely.
Yeah.
Then if you want to go out and buy, you can buy the same kit that I purchased. I basically bolted on.
Yeah.
That'll run you probably on the order of call it $1,200 or more.
Holy cow! I guess if you're buying brand new calipers,
If you're buying
from Volkswagen,
brand new calipers and brand new
Holy
pads
cow,
and
man.
discs and like all the little
yeah.
I mean, the calipers and the brackets, those are probably even when I bought them at the 200-ish whatever I got them for, like those are
God, what a deal, man!
I mean, that like it was
I'm sorry.
it truly was like one of those ones where I hopped on eBay and someone had just thrown it up there and they had to buy it now set, like, and I think the auction was ending and it didn't sell. They reposted it with a buy it now, and I just said, here's the number, let's do this.
I've seen them. They're flawless. The condition, it's like they're perfect, man. So all right, so it's a little bit of consumer advice. We usually do dumb jackassery on the show, but every now and then we try to advise
be
you on
helpful.
something.
I mean, the way I look at it is, and for the rest of the listeners, I ended up actually selling the old brakes for about $200 with the old rotors and the old calipers.
I don't think I realized you hadn't told me that yet.
So I sold
your
all
net price is $300 or something.
So I sold all the bits and bobs. So all in, I basically walked away, the cost of a fresh brake change over at a dealership.
Yeah.
And I have brand new setup that'll be last me another 2-3 years.
Too good, man. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.